Elestrals is releasing its first edition product, finally giving the game the opportunity to be accessible to the greater audience, whether it be from shops or directly from their store. So now the question lies, is Elestrals worth it? Hey everybody, Espira, and today I actually got sent a creator box from Elestrals, so thank you very much to the Elestrals team there. And I thought it was a great opportunity to talk about the greater scope of the game as we break into the box and talk about a few things about first edition and the future of the game. This is actually not my first foray into Elestrals though. I did actually back the game on a Kickstarter, which actually I think broke the record for the most highly backed TCG on Kickstarter, which was super cool. And I actually gave my initial breakdowns after I got my Kickstarter support in this video here. My biggest points at the time being that I love the amount of work and creativity and community feedback that has gone into the game, though I think the game does have a few steps in towards getting into stores, into proper organized play, and every surrounding system around that. And with that, I think there are a couple of solves going into the first edition and into 2024, which is very exciting. So let's talk about it while we break into this creator box. So first off, massive, huge box. Kudos to A-Drive and the team for putting this together. This is super cool. Got something very similar from Bandai when BSS first released. And I think these kinds of things go a long way of enfranchising people into your game. And if we specifically look inside, I think, oh, there we go. So we break into it, and honestly, an awesome bevy of things here. So we've got starter decks, which from the looks of it are one of each starter deck. So we'll definitely break into that. We've got a roadmap that we can talk about there in a second. We've got a pin. This is actually a set 2 pin because Frost is a new type coming into the game in set 2, which is very exciting. So that's a little sneak peek there. We got our Galaxy Stellar card. So this, I think, is a card that you get if you pre-ordered set 1 first edition. This is actually the Stellar variant. And for those who don't know, a big point of Elestrals are Stellars, which are effectively Pokemon have shinies, Elestrals have Stellars. And that's kind of their big push here, kind of leaning into that, which makes sense given how much A-Drive was such a shiny hunter and loved shiny Pokemon at his time as a Pokemon creator. So we do get one of those, so we'll be taking a look at that. Then of course we got the booster box, actually in a couple of Shattered Stars. This is effectively their subscription model, which allows you to get alternate arts or early sneak peeks of cards before they release into the wild, which is very exciting. So we'll check those out. And then of course we've got the first edition blister packs, which the Kickstarter variants had spirits, which is kind of like your mana, your life. They had those as the alt art variants here, and here we actually get stellar variants of Nectar of Gods and Ambrosia, which is very nice. The first thing I want to break into actually is this 2024 roadmap. One of the biggest draws of Elestrals is the team's commitment to communication, to community feedback, and to creating a bunch of surrounding systems that make it really exciting to be a part of Elestrals. The biggest thing that's really exciting for me though is that regardless of that green thing, they are very open to feedback, to how things done are in the industry and how they can be done better. And in that aspect, I think actually being a more green company is to their benefit, because it allows them to do fresh new ideas that maybe the TCG space hasn't really explored. And here when it comes to the roadmap, there's a lot of commitment to, hey, here are all the set products. I love that we get a big overview of this is what we're going to be going towards for the year. There are lore drops, which is world building. That's awesome. There's the Shattered Stars, if you're a part of their subscription model there. And then there's the Elestriad, which is a creator-focused tournament that highlights new sets and allows people to kind of see the new sets in play from some of their favorite creators. Set 1 was played by a bunch of fantastic Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh creators. So that's just a fun way to involve community members, content creators, and really get people delving into their game. And of course, there's the championship here at the end of the year, which is very exciting to know that even in their first year where they're really establishing the systems or getting into local game stores and they're working all of that out, there's still a plan to have a little bit of competitiveness in there. And obviously me being a competitive player myself, I'm very excited to see what the future of organized play is going to look like for the game. So all in all, very excited about this roadmap, especially knowing that the roadmap will only ever get better from here, right? There's already so much on here, so much visibility to the things that we can expect from the game. And even with that, this is probably the most barren that this roadmap is ever going to be as they get their systems down for local play, for premier play, and for any associated marketing pushes that they might have otherwise. So very exciting there. I love having this roadmap. Big plus for sure. When it comes to Jump the First Edition, it's not only just re-releasing more product in a wave, but there's actually been a couple of changes. There's been a change in manufacturing, which has allowed for more vibrant colors and for better quality of things like randomization and stuff like that, which were things that the team very actively worked on since their Kickstarter, which is very exciting. But card stock is also going to be a change there. And I actually do have some cards on the side from the Kickstarter that we're going to be able to compare to, which is very exciting there. Which, if you haven't noticed in the back, All of that, all Elestrals. We opened a lot of product when the Kickstarter pushed out. Might as well kick it off looking at this Galaxy. It might be Galaxy or Galaxia. I don't know. Dan sometimes does correct me on my pronunciations whenever I'm talking to him about the game. So here, obviously, very nice. So this is actually Stellar Galaxy, which is very exciting. So very cool there on that front. Feels good. The cardstock is thick, which I do like. You know, my comparison points that I even have on the side here, I got Battle Spirits, which is on the thicker side of cardstock. We've got Digimon, which is still JP cardstock, which is typically better than North American cardstock, but it feels good. And I will say, for me these days, the standard is very much, does a company do a JP like cardstock? And this definitely feels like that for sure. Nice and thick, good bounce. Honestly, big ups. And if I have to compare, I do actually have some cardstock here from Kickstarter. So this is a Kickstarter Zaptor. The Kickstarter cardstock felt good before, and this first edition feels good as well. I would actually argue that this might be a little bit thicker on the Kickstarter side, but nevertheless, this looks great. And there is a vibrancy component where you'll find that the Kickstarter product has a little bit more duller colors, and they're more vibrant here on the first editions. And obviously there's the custom holo patterns that are apparent in all of the holos for this game. We'll go ahead and fire off some of these blister packs as well. I actually never got around to opening my blisters packs. I might have from the Kickstarter, but obviously these are updated, which is very nice. And the fact that we've got stellar variants of Ambrosia and Nectar of the Gods, with Nectar of Gods effectively being Pot of Greed and Ambrosia being kind of like a heal 3, which is way more relevant in this card game. And that's actually one of the fun components of Elestrals. For those of you guys who don't know, Elestrals plays kind of like a mix of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! With a few other card game components surrounding that. And one of the unique mechanics that it has is actually that your resource system, so your mana, your energy, whatever you would have, that allows you to play cards and use abilities, are also your life, which creates a really fun dynamic where the game goes back and forth. And even if you're ahead based on just being able to control your opponent's board or having a better hand than they did or whatever, because you're constantly expending your life to be able to play your cards to stay ahead, it actually means that games stay relatively close. And there's like very often a huge comeback potential with the game, which makes it a lot of fun to play. I actually ended up top 8ing the first tournament I played in all the way, I want to say a few months ago, which there are actually tournaments that they run on their local Discord, both in their app, which gives you access to every single card in the game for free, or as well as a webcam so people can appreciate the usage of their cards there. I played in the webcam tournament, got top 8, which is very exciting. So here we've got the Ambrosia, very pretty there. And of course, we've got the booster pack from there. And look here, I'm not good at opening booster packs, so don't hate on me too much. I know that there's like this Pokemon creator thing where like they do like the whole, oh, I'm going to take the bottom 3 and put it to the bottom so I don't see a foil or something like that. I don't know. I'm not that kind of gamer. We're just going to go through it here. So we've got Sluggle, Tadpuff, Jolton, got Atlantis, Pigust, Carrion, Barabog, Saxor, Iphros, which is interesting. There are different foils as well from the first edition to the Kickstarter edition. Ifros was actually one of the foils from the Kickstarter that is now just a regular rare, which means that we will get different foils throughout this, as well as Stellars. This game is built upon Stellars, very much so leans into it really, really hard. And the components of that are the fact that there are cards of high rarity, serialized cards, one of 99s, that you can get, which are the stellar versions of those spirits. They're kind of how Stellar Galaxy, except there are serialized versions, which are more rare. There are one of 99s, which are regular foils. And then here's a Zaptor here. And there are one of 10s, which are incredibly rare. And I actually got super lucky. And with my Kickstarter bundle, actually managed to pull a 1 of 10 Pantera. So one of the rarest cards in the world. Got hyper lucky, managed to pull one, and we've still got it right here. When it comes to first edition, it's actually going to be Voltempest, which is the 1 of 10 represented in this box, which is very exciting. And the fun part is the fact that the pulls can also be in your starter decks. There are stellar versions of the different cards in the starter decks as well. So anytime you open a starter deck, you have a chance at a 1 in 99 stellar pull, which is super exciting. Moving on to the second blister here. I'm so bad at opening these. So we've got Nectar of the Gods here. Very pretty, very shiny. Love the custom foil patterns there that you can kind of see with that light there. And then, of course, we've got the booster pack, which I did tweet about it saying what we're going to pull. And apparently Stellar Tectorus is something that Adrive said was in my future. So we'll have to see there. Maybe we get lucky and pull ourselves a Stellar, which I have pretty good Stellar luck. In my Kickstarter, alongside the Pantera, I actually opened 4 different Stellars, which was very exciting. So if we can continue that luck into our packs, that would be fantastic. So we've got Atlantis, Rummagen, Ursmog, Atlantis, Pigust, Scythe of Demeter, Earthquake, which is a very good competitive card, Hammer of Hephaestus, and Equalinx as our rare, I believe. Yep, so there's Equalinx, and then we've got Taratlas there as our spirit. Next up, we'll break into the Shattered Stars. Like I said, these are their subscription model, which allows people to expand the way in which they get themselves involved with Elestrals. Specifically, they provide alt arts of a bunch of cards. So the spirit cards, which again are like your life, like your mana, alternate art versions of that, alternate art versions of a bunch of different spirits. There are stellar chances in these as well. So it kind of makes it that fun add-on that if you're looking to lux out your deck and to add more to your experience, then you can do so via the Shattered Stars, which is super cool. Every different month has a different theme. So for the first few months, I think they cover the first spirits there. And I actually believe we can see that in their roadmap. So if you look at the roadmap here, we've got the Thunder one here, and then we've got the Frost one the month after that. And it looks like we're just going to be going down the different spirit types until we hit the end, in which we probably vary and try different themes to go alongside with the cards that are associated with the set. And thus, being the Lightning set, we actually have a lot of cards that are based around lightning. Not only do we have Zaptor, but we also have potential alta arts in the form of the Divine Runes, which kind of play out like Planeswalkers in other games if you guys have played Magic the Gathering at all. So here we've got Toxion, which is actually a very good competitive card, burns your opponent's life. We have a Lycavolt, Sparkit, which is one of the most played cards in the game, so very exciting there. We've got Quackle, Ast Rabbit, which I love Ast Rabbit. Such a good card. Honestly, this is probably the best card in the game. So you'll actually notice that with a lot of card picks within the Shattered Stars, they're very much lined up with what people are playing in the meta. And what I will say is that Adrive and his team do a really good job of being in tune with what the community is talking about, not only in terms of what they would like to see in the game, but as well as what's being played in tournaments and how can they expand on that. And they do a great job of communicating top deck lists, meta breakdowns, and those are things that they're only starting with. And it's something that I see them getting so much better at as they get more experienced and they really bunker down on solidifying the different systems. And then all right, so we've got the Stained Glass Voltempest here. The thing that's really fun about Elestrals is that they vary their art styles a lot on the different rarities as well. So while we got the Stained Glass here, which looks absolutely gorgeous, the Divine Rooms, for example, happen to be in this kind of like stone statue-esque, very much throwback to the way that we used to celebrate gods in old times. So very exciting there. And then I believe it is our Zaptor here, which is a full art spirit, very excited about. And I do love the fact that even though this is your mana, life, energy, that there's a lot of different ways to customize it. Of course, there's the Zaptor we got here. And if we look at the Kickstarter, there is the Zaptor variant like this one. And of course, there are the foil ones as well. And then the blister packs from the Kickstarter also had the stellar versions of the spirits, which was very exciting. And then moving on to Shattered Stars month 2. So I believe this is the one for February, which is the Wind, which is fun. Wind is actually a big basis of the deck that I got my first top 8 in because it plays very toolboxy. Gives you a lot of different options, can lean into being more of a control color, which I really do like seeing. So with that, we've got the Hydrake, we've got Aramare, Glidesdale, Exaltair, which is actually one of the stellars I got in my Kickstarter boxes. Then we've got Peliqueris, and then we've got Resting on Your Laurels as the foil edition, which is really exciting because this is one of the cards that didn't come in foil. It's actually a starter deck exclusive card. I can't remember which starter deck explicitly. It might actually be the Pantera starter deck, if I could find that right here. So I believe it is a starter deck exclusive card, but it didn't come in foil. So the fact that Shattered Stars provide an opportunity to give holo/foil versions of cards that didn't have it before is very exciting. And then of course, we've got our full art Licorice here as well. Makes it a really fun booster to open, knowing that you're going to get alt arts of meta viable cards, as well as luxury upgrades for cards that you've had previously that didn't have luxury upgraded versions. And then finally, of course, we've got the starter decks as well as the booster box. And of course, as usual, kudos to the visual/product team for Elestrals. The boxes are super pretty. Their presentation is really top notch in that regard. It is actually one of the components that I really appreciate about the game. I think the biggest thing that you can feel about this game is love and passion. I think it's made by people who love taking the art direction as far as it can go, who love world building and establishing everything that Elestrals is. And then on top of that, building into that and expanding into that in ways that obviously takes a lot of inspirations from Pokemon, but taking it to places that never went and running with it, which makes it super exciting. But with that, we have to boil down to, is Elestrals worth it? And I'm actually going to open this Pentair starter deck to kind of maybe see if we can get ourselves a stellar Pentair, which I believe comes out of the starter deck. Hopefully, fingers up, right? Kind of finish our playset with the one that we already pulled from the Kickstarter set. And if you guys want to see me open the rest of this, I'll actually be opening it on stream, so you guys will want to follow those links down below. So when trying to understand, is Elestrals worth it? I think there's a lot of different components to try and understand what the game might be to you. I think the game is beautifully made, from its presentation to the different ways that the Elestrals team fleshes out and tries to build out all the systems, from the visuals to the community to all of that. So there's a lot to really appreciate there in that regard. In my previous Kickstarter breakdown video, I was trying to understand what the future of Elestrals looks like from, a component that goes beyond just having pretty product though. Naturally, when we're talking about card games are a live service system. And that means that not only does the product itself need to be good, but the surrounding ecosystems need to be. What is local game store play like? What is premier organized play like? And what is world building like? And since I've made that video, it's been very exciting to see Elestrals really kind of double down and hunker down on getting those things right. When it comes to world building, they're starting to establish different lore videos, different stories, in regards to kind of establishing what this world of Elestrals is really like, which is very exciting. When we talk about getting into local game stores, well, with first edition now, product is more widely available. People can pick it up on the website in greater access than there was with the original Kickstarter. But also there's the fact that they're opening up communications with stores, trying to partner with different stores. And the exciting thing listening to A-Drive talk about this is that not only is the partnership that he's trying to establish with stores one-offs where he's just trying to sell them product, get that bag, and then walk away, but a lot of the conversations that he says he's having lean into what makes a successful product for a local game store, what makes a successful local game store system, play, organized play, promos, all that kind of stuff. So what in that realm really makes it have longevity as opposed to a one-off, like a couple of other Kickstarter games that we might know. So it's very exciting to hear that it's a constant feedback loop, constant communication, and that being the owner and this game being his baby, not being afraid about getting down in the trenches and getting involved with every component, be it from players to stores to naturally the top end when we're talking about things like distributors and stuff like that. So I'm very excited to kind of see what that future looks like. Here we do have the spin down for the win deck. I love having spin downs. I collected a ton of these when I played Magic the Gathering, and the fact that they've extended into this game, which also serves as your life because you start with 20 spirits in your spirit deck. And the fact that you can utilize this as a D20 as well as a die that's able to track your life is a lot of fun. And then so I guess my only big question as a competitive player that I am is, what are we looking for in regards to Premier Play? Here's the how to play guide, by the way, and they have got a fantastic new video on YouTube as well if video form is more your fancy. So at the moment, it's been a lot of localized tournaments in their community discords, but naturally there's going to be the expansions. They've talked about a world championship, and all those systems are being ironed out right now, which gives me a lot of joy. On a personal basis, I do think not having thought about local game stores and kind of that wider ecosystem components of card games is something that was a bit of a miss early on. I do like the fact that, with the fact that manufacturing is locked down, the fact that, A-Drive has been very open about the fact that there have been a couple of hiccups with manufacturing and that he's changed manufacturers, which is not cheap, by the way. Really, to solidify the product is a bit of a kudos to give because of like, hey, we want to make sure our product is extremely solid, extremely good before we start pushing it into the other systems like local game stores and stuff like that. And now that I'm seeing the double down of push of getting into shops and stuff like that and building those systems, I feel much more confident in the future of the game in as far as it establishing an ecosystem that makes it fun to be a part of this game, even if you weren't part of the Kickstarter, which I highlighted as a potential issue early on. With the starter deck, of course, you get your foil Pentair. So unfortunately, no, it doesn't look like we've got ourselves a stellar Pentair, but nevertheless, we do have the full fleshed out deck here, which all the starter decks are really good. They're great out of the box experiences, and they provide you a bunch of staples, which are very solid, both in-set and exclusive. So the Pentair line can be a great way to go from Hydrake over to Twindra into Pentair. which gives you a lot of inevitability in the late game if your opponent doesn't have answers. And then there are cards like Aramir, which does see play. Sometimes Gladesdale, P-Gus is great removal option for your opponent's back row. There's Exaltair, which is burn. Sorliv, which is a great battle trick spirit, also has 5 attack. There's Astrabit. You know, like, not only are they monotype, but they provide you a bunch of options in the different typings. Veritaqua, which is good removal. And then they give you some staples. And like I was talking about, resting on your laurels, which we actually got the foil version in our Wind Shattered Stars pack. And then it rounds out the rest of the deck with Divine Rune, which again is like a planeswalker. We've got our stadiums or fields, if you would know from any other card game. And then there are just removal options, tools in your runes, and then finally all the spirits that you need to actually go and play a game. With a little kind of reminder card there, which I love when starter decks include these, especially as I'm learning a game. I think just having a quick guide on a quick to read card is something that makes it much easier to pick up. I am very excited for the future of the game. I think there were a couple of lingering questions with the Kickstarter, as good as the Kickstarter product was, that made me wonder what the longevity of the game will be. And I think with first edition and with the big pushes that the Elestrals team has been making towards establishing long-term systems, community building, feedback, things like the Elestriad and the World Championship, which will eventually lead into proper full organized play, makes me very excited about where this game is going, because every system with this game is being taken from a holistic component. It's not just about, hey, we've got shinies in our game, right? Which of course are stellars. We have beautiful, great design. We've got good card stock. Our promotional marketing game is great. We bring in a bunch of Yugi tubers and Pokemon tubers and a bunch of people from the different content sphere to be excited about the game. And now we're pushing into stores and we're looking to see how we can establish a really good organized play structure around the store so that they can be successful. And to me, that's the heart and soul of the game. If you always push for everyone else to be successful, you will be successful. If your players love the product, they'll support the product. If local game stores can make money on your product, they will support the product. And then the world will keep watching if you do a really good job of celebrating your champions and letting the world know that they're at the top of the game, which gives that long-term aspirational component that I think some games severely lack. Do I think there's a long road ahead? I absolutely do. It is no easy task making a card game, and sometimes you could do all the things right, and sometimes it doesn't pay off. But I have a lot of confidence in the Elestrals team, and look, I know I've got my biases. I supported the Kickstarter there, obviously. I'm speaking my honest opinion here when I think the future of Elestrals is very exciting. And I highly recommend that if it's looking like the type of game that you want to get into, look up the How to Play. Go on the Elestrals channel. They're really good about making content about the game. If you want to see gameplay or lore or anything like that, check it out. And if it's something that excites you, go talk to your game store. Get them excited about the game. And guess what? Odds are A-Drive is going to get on the phone and talk with your shop owner if they want to pick up the game. So, hey, if that's not saying anything about his commitment to making sure that the store owners get the best experience ever, then I don't know what is. Again, if you want to see me open the rest of the product, I'll be live streaming it on Twitch, so link to that down below. And I am very excited to see where the future of Elestrals kicks off from there. And with that said, I'll catch you guys on the next one.